customization of the interface. We did see already this button that helps you to have a customized interface directly for what you want to do into Blender. What tasks you want to do into Blender, it will help you for that. But what about if you want to make your own interface that you want to keep somewhere, or that you want to have for a kind of task that you want to make yourself? So first of all, you see that if you move your cursor here and around the edges here of the interface, you will have this option to expand or to make it more little in case of you need something. Okay, and same for all the edges of all the parts of the interface of Blender. Here in the corner you can see that you have a little plus here, and you can expand it too and put it like that too. So here it's a kind of other menu that gives you some options only for the 3D view. Okay, and so what about if we want to, for example, make two 3D views into the same interface? So we have in all the interfaces parts, we have little triangles on the corner, on the top right and here on the left. And if you want to expand and to multiply, let's say to duplicate an interface, like for example the 3D view, you just have to go into it. There is a little cross appears, and you can just do a click and drag on the left, and it will duplicate your window, and you will have two 3D views that move separately. And what is good for that is just that any operations that I make, for example, I add here a monkey. I will show you how to do that later, but I had here a monkey. So what is good is, for example, I can work on it on the side view here, and I can work on it on the front view here. And if I want to move something here, it will appear here too. So this is a good configuration for modeling this, to have two 3D views, for example. I come back with my cube, my original cube here. Okay, and what about if I want to make this one different? So in each corners here you can see that there are some options to change this part of the interface only. So here, if I put, for example, UV image editor, I will have a 3D view here and a 2D view to open image or to see my renders. For example, if I do a render here, okay, now I have still my interface in 3D, and I have my render on the right side. But it will work very well to unwrap my cube, for example. I will use this for UV editing too. So this can be a good solution to work in 3D or 2D. You can do this expand mode. Sorry, I come back to this, and here a 3D view. So you can do this expand mode not only in right or left, you can do it here in the vertical here, and you can have two 3D views here the same. And you can after here change, for example, for if you want a node editor, you call a node editor here. And you can see that all of those possibilities that have Blender here. Here it's, for example, for animation. Okay, here the 3D view. Everything here is for animation. Here UV and movie clips editor. Here for video sequence editor too. Node editor. So you have a lot of stuff that we will discover during the training. But so to make something like, I come back to my original one and show you something after. So how to come back in only one view? So for that we have to do the same, but the inverse way. You come back to the little triangle, and instead of going here, you go on the top. And when you go on the top, you see that there is here an arrow come here. And if you release the button, it will come to only one view. Same here. So this time I will go on the right side, and you can see here the arrow, and you release, and it comes to only one view. So here this little triangle is for this kind of customization of the interface. This kind of customization can be saved if you want, for sure. And if, for example, I want here, I don't know, I tell, let's say, something like that, and I want something like that, okay, I do File, Save Startup File, okay, I confirm, and I will come back here. When I open a new file, I will come back to this interface always. So I just do a file load factory settings here to come back to the original one. I put back cycles render and do File, Save Startup File again. Like this, I come back into this normal interface for working. And what about here for customize more this interface into the 3D view? Into the 3D view we have this option here with a little plus, and if you go here you can see view, you can see display, and its display we will expand it and we will work on it a little. Only render will only show what's rendered in your scene, so only the cube. When you render a scene like that, sure, your lamp is here and make some light, but it will not appear in the scene, and the same for the camera. After, we have world background or not here. We have outline selected, so if you select something, it will outline it in yellow or not. So here it's important to have it. It's good just to, okay, you select something, it's yellow, it's good. Me, I really like to have it during working. We have relationship lines. This is when you make kind of link between objects and parenting between objects, and we will see this in the second chapter. And some lines appear there for example, I do that for this cube and this cube, and I parent them, okay? You see this line appear, and when you have a lot of objects like that and a lot of parentings, it can be a little confusing and annoying, so you can just remove these relationship lines here. So like this, it disappears. And so that's it for this. By default, you just let it by default. You have the grid floor. The grid floor is here with Blender units. So one Blender unit is 1 little square in this little grid floor. You can enable it or not, okay? And you can put it in Z2 to put the axis here. So here I have my y-axis, my x-axis. I can put my z-axis too if I want. But by default, it's good like that, just to show you that you can. You can manage the lines and the scale of the grid floor here, and you can do a toggle quad view. It's good for modeling this. So you have only one 3D view into the interface that it's divided by 4. One is free, okay, and these ones will never move. We have a top view, a front view, and a right view. And like this, directly by clicking on this button, you can have something very good for modeling and just appreciate what's happening in your scene. Sometimes for modeling, okay, it can be good to enable it or not. So this is the display tab here. It's a little important, and I wanted to show you this. If you want to remove this tab, you can just do like that, click and drag, and that's it. You come back to the original interface. Now, what if we want to change the color of our interface? We can go to File, User Preferences, and it will be the first time we will open this menu, this window, because it's an entire window dedicated to options into Blender. We will see into the next videos, maybe the fourth video, I will really show you what kind of changes we can make and configuration we can make into these preferences. But first we will go for theme, and theme we have the colors. So everything is defined by part of the interface. Here we have 3D view only. Here we have UV image editor, and everything that's inside it's you can change in, and it's customizable. Now you have some presets too. You can change it to back to black, for example, if you want something dark, or dark blue gradient, and there are a lot, and you can test them and play with them. But for me, even if some are really good, like Elysium, I like to work with Elysium, for example. That is a very good one. But I'm so used to the default theme that I really prefer to let it by default. And to let it by default, you do a reset to default theme here, okay? And so what you have, it's the normal one now. And if you really want to use another one, okay, you can. So you just choose the good one that you want. For example, you want that one, and you do a save user settings here. Like this, it will come back every time you open Blender. This save user settings is not the same as file, save startup file. This one is for everything happens into the properties editor or the 3D view or things like that, and the interface. But this one is really for the configuration, what's happened in the preferences here. So if you want that it come back every time, you do save user settings, and it will come back to this one. And if you don't, just reset your default theme, and after save user settings. Okay? So this is it for the customization of the interface of Blender. What I wanted to tell you, no, is this, it's okay. We will see in the next video how to navigate into the 3D view.